What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning Eddie Hearn, Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder, and Oleksandr Usyk. Get this. According to Eddie Hearn states that Anthony Joshua will fight Deontay Wilder on the same night as Oleksandr Usyk's next bout, says Eddie Hearn. Usyk is set to feature on the undercard of Anthony Joshua's super fight with Deontay Wilder in Saudi Arabia. Promoter Eddie Hearn is finalizing a deal for AJ to face Wilder, but the Saudis wanted Usyk and Tyson on the card. But Fury, 34 years of age, instead looks to fight ex-champion Francis Ngannou in an exhibition bout. Usyk is due to defend his titles against the WBA mandatory challenger Daniel Dubois August 26 in Poland. But Filip Hrgovic would be the next in line to challenge for his titles, which Hearn says will be 100% on Joshua's undercard. He told Boxing Social, "It will be Filip Hrgovic. He's next in line of Tyson Fury. Doesn't take the fight, which he's not." Okay, Joshua's 33 is also to return in an interim bout before facing Wilder, 37, in the Middle East. And those are the words, and let me counterpunch. I think it's real clever of Eddie Hearn if he can get the guy that beat Anthony Joshua twice back-to-back to be on his undercard in the mandatory position. See, what happens is, since Tyson Fury's trying to do his own thing and doesn't want to play ball, Oleksandr Usyk has to fight as mandatory. Well, mandatories are mandatory, but are they really necessarily required, or is it really a desired thing? No, it's a necessary thing. Oleksandr Usyk is doing his job being an undisputed champion. That's what's happening. However, with Usyk fighting Hrgovic, how much would that sell in comparison to two former champions that hold their own weight and water? See, Eddie Hearn is playing a shrewd game of boxing as far as notoriety and marquee value, okay? He knows that Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua will sell way more than a Hrgovic-Usyk fight. That's why you don't really hear much about Usyk fighting Dubois, because no one's really wanting to see Dubois versus Usyk, really. They're not quenching for that. They're not desiring that. That's not what we want. We want to see Usyk and Fury because those are the two champions of the world right now. Both still undefeated to this day. They are kind of somewhat replaced the intrigue in the heavyweight division when we did have Anthony Joshua and we did have Deontay Wilder. And they were both undisputed. One had the unified titles, the other one had the WBC. And that's the fight we wanted to see until it didn't happen. And both men ended up getting beat a couple times. Okay? You know? And what we have here is a guy that's just doing his job. As Usyk, you know, has done the unthinkable, has taken Anthony Joshua out. He didn't do it once, but he did it twice. And he's going in for his third defense of his title, we'll say actually second defense of his title, you know, by fighting the mandatory Daniel Dubois. But then he has to fight Filip Hrgovic, which Hrgovic is co-managed by Eddie Hearn. And see, since he's co-managed by Eddie Hearn, there will be no step aside if there was any big fight. Because Tyson Fury's a no-show. He's not doing anything worth a damn. So since that's the case, Filip Hrgovic would be that next guy in place. Because remember, Zhang, you know, it got rematched by Joyce, and that will happen on the 23rd of September. So he won't have time to do that since Joyce lost. So then the next in be in line is Filip Hrgovic. So he'll still be fighting mandatories. You know, he has one next month, then he has to deal with another one in December. And then the blockbuster fight will be Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua. Now, the question is, will the Saudis okay that? Will they okay those guys being on one night? Will that be enough without Tyson Fury? Now, if it is, you know what that means? That means they won't need Tyson Fury, because they said, well, you know what? That fight with Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder will be just fine. Maybe we can revisit Usyk if he beats Hrgovic later in the year. And that means Usyk will have more marquee value because he's beat more heavyweights than Tyson Fury's even thought about beating as far as opposition. He's beaten Daniel Dubois. He already beat Joe Joyce a long time ago. He beats Philip Hrgovic. Daniel Dubois, Philip Hrgovic, and that's one hell of a resume. Derek Chisora, Anthony Joshua twice, Daniel Dubois, then Philip Hrgovic. You're looking at a guy that will overshadow Tyson Fury because Tyson Fury's busy playing around with exhibitions and he's not making himself relevant. That's what could happen. And then that fight will never get done because Tyson Fury's going to want that same deal with the 30% and it won't happen. Okay? Unless they fight in Saudi Arabia, and I don't think Tyson Fury wants that unless Usyk looks bad in those fights and he struggles, but he still gets the job done. But anyway, you guys tell me what you think of Eddie Hearn wanting Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder, then Usyk, and then Hrgovic, all on the same card, all on the same night. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace!